Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's class from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, which is entitled Lord Chaitanya in 5 Features. And this morning we're doing text or verse 24. And some people, I'm sure, were expecting His Holiness Chandamali Swami, but unfortunately he called in about a little over an hour ago to say he couldn't make it. So I'm covering for him. So without further ado, we'll start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari, Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya. Astottara Sati Systematics Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Privajagacharya. Astottara Sati Systematics Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Siva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Wo. All glorious to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glorious to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Krishna Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nityananda. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namani. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. For those that came a little later, the news is that Maharaj Chandamali Swami can't make it this morning, so I've been asked to fill in for him. That's why I'm preaching this morning. Hare Krishna. Jai. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 7, which is entitled Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Text 24. Luṭiyā khāiyā diyā bhāṇḍāra ujāḍe āścarya bhāṇḍāra prema śata-guṇa bāḍe. Luṭiyā khāiyā diyā bhāṇḍāra ujāḍe āścarya bhāṇḍāra prema śata-guṇa bāḍe. Luṭiyā khāiyā diyā bhāṇḍāra ujāḍe āścarya bhāṇḍāra prema śata-guṇa bāḍe. Word for word translation. Luṭiyā, plundering. Khāiyā, eating. Diyā, distributing. Bhāṇḍāra, store. Ujāḍe, emptied. Āścarya, wonderful. Bhāṇḍāra, store. Prema, love of Godhead. Śata-guṇa, 100 times. Bāḍe, increases. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although the members of the Pañca-tattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity. For this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A pseudo-incarnation of Krishna once told his disciple that he had emptied himself by giving him all knowledge and was thus spiritually bankrupt. Such bluffers speak in this way to cheat the public. But actual spiritual consciousness is so perfect that the more it is distributed, the more it increases. Bankruptcy is a term that applies in the material world. But the storehouse of love of Godhead in the spiritual world can never be depleted. Krishna is providing for millions and trillions of living entities by supplying all their necessities. And even if all the innumerable living entities wanted to become Krishna conscious, there would be no scarcity of love of Godhead, nor would there be insufficiency in providing for their maintenance. Our Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and no one provided for our livelihood. But at present, we are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars all over the world, and the movement is increasing more and more. Thus, there is no question of scarcity. Although jealous persons may be envious, if we stick to our principles and follow in the footsteps of the Pañca-tattva, this movement will go on unchecked by imitation swamis, sannyasis, religionists, philosophers, or scientists, for it is transcendental to all material considerations. Therefore, those who propagate the Krishna consciousness movement should not be afraid of such rascals and fools. Om Agnati Mirandasya Gyana Gana Shalakaya Chakshu Umritam Jena Tasma Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakanamayam Dadasti Swaparantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Driveshesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatarine Mo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Guratishe Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Tira Dvaita Gadadha Shiva Shari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So the translation again. Although the members of the Pañca-tattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and ate and distributed its contents, there was no scarcity, for this wonderful storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. The love is supplied, but then it increases hundreds of times. Very, very precise definition of the nature of Krishna. Krishna is unlimited. So everything about Krishna is unlimited. So his love is unlimited. The supply is available if we want to connect with it. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions towards the end of the purport, he mentions the conditions by which we can stay as a society connected with the love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And since it's towards the end of the purport, we'll tackle that. We'll talk about that later. But the whole text is very, very, very instructive, and it's also very exciting at the same time. The text talks about the storehouse of love of Godhead. The members of the Pañca-tattva plundering the storehouse of love and eating and distributing its contents. And even though they did that, as is explained here, there was no scarcity. The storehouse is so complete that as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. It is like that in devotee life too. Even if we're not pure devotees yet, if we give our hearts to Krishna, what we get back is more than what we expect to get back. And many people who have been in Krishna consciousness and opened their hearts to serving the Lord know this as a fact. They know this as a fact. Mother Ladini, Srila Prabhupada disciple who put her heart into Krishna consciousness so much that she went to Africa, West Africa, to preach there. There was a war in that particular country, and trying to protect devotees, it cost her life. But she made one comment. Oh my God, sister shared with me. She says, she was training her, said, give of your heart to Krishna. The more you give, the more you get. The more you give, the more you get. It's not like it's exactly the same as what you give that Krishna gives you. If your heart is wide open to serve devotees, to serve the spiritual master, and to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if that is where your heart is at, then, as my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Maharaj described it, you will see Krishna magic. He calls it Krishna magic. Krishna magic comes to your life, one situation after another, every single day. It actually happens like that. And that's what generates the excitement. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna described exactly what we should do. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam saranam vraja. Mamekam saranam vraja. Surrender to me. Then all simple reactions that are due us to go through, he'll take it away. That's what he said. Surrender to him. But the Pañca-tattva, who's still Krishna, Lord Krishna Chaitanya, when he came, he says, here, chant the holy name of the Lord, and Krishna prema is yours. So to do that, as is described here, the Pañca-tattva plundered the storehouse of love. They themselves were filled with so much love for Krishna. Krishna was there, but Krishna was playing the role of a devotee. Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So he was also very much connected to Krishna prema, actually at the highest level, Madanakya Mahabhav, the one that is for, well, according to Govinda Maharaj, says, that belongs to Srimati Radharani. He made a joke about it, but that's actually over our head, so I won't even get into that. But Madanakya Mahabhav, that is the combination of all the levels of prema. There are 7 levels of prema, and all of them combined is Madanakya Mahabhav. And that is the one that Lord Chaitanya is exhibiting. And the Pañca-tattva are exhibiting parts of the Krishna prema. So Krishna prema is in different levels. If we have time, we can go through that. So Krishna is unlimited. So his storehouse of love would also be unlimited. If anything about Krishna is limited, then we can't say Krishna is unlimited, because then the one thing that we can point to is, well, Krishna, when it comes to this, he's stuck there. No, he's unlimited in every situation. So there was no scarcity, which means he's unlimited in his mercy also, because he was giving Krishna prema to people who really don't deserve it, but they were just taken in by the excitement of a chanting of the holy name of the Lord in Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan. And that opened their hearts. And Srila Prabhupada has explained, Krishna prema is already there. Everybody, every living entity is connected with Krishna prema. There's only one problem. Those of us in the material world, we've allowed materialism to cover Krishna prema. Therefore, we don't feel it. And that's why we have to go through the process, which we'll describe later, from faith and so on, as described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, to get to this love. But Lord Chaitanya and the Pañca-tattva, Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, Srivas, they were distributing it freely. And the text that's before this one says that it didn't matter what kind of person came around. They were not discriminating. If you open your heart to chant the holy name of the Lord and got excited about the Sankirtan, then the Lord gave it to you. Krishna prema. Very, 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 very simple way to get to it. But we have to open our hearts. That is the important thing. We have to open our hearts. So Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport that a pseudo-incarnation of Krishna, this is to describe how unlimited Krishna is. So somebody that's a false incarnation of Krishna, and he got disciples, and he told one disciple that by giving him all the knowledge that he, as a so-called incarnation of Krishna, thought that it would be good for his disciple to know, he had emptied himself by giving this knowledge, and therefore he was spiritually bankrupt. Now that immediately shows that this person is fake. Krishna is unlimited. He can never be bankrupt in any situation, much less spiritually bankrupt. So those who speak that way, they cheat the public. Now, some of us take these things for granted because we are fortunate enough to be under the umbrella of this society headed by Srila Prabhupada. And in his wisdom, and also obeying the instructions of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, who told Srila Prabhupada, when you get money, print books. Srila Prabhupada has written 84 books. So there's plenty of books, types of books available. And BBT keeps cranking them out. The presses are there, so there's just one book after another, so many copies come out. So then we are protected by Srila Prabhupada's instruction and his preaching. And that's why we can't think of even being around these bluffers. But there are some who are professional. They call themselves professional Bhagavatam reciters, and they recite, we make programs, and they recite Srimad Bhagavatam very impressively, using the power of memory that Krishna has given them, and they recite for 7 days, and people pay money. But the funny question about it is, Maharaj Pariksit was about to die in 7 days due to a curse. All of these people that attend these things, Bhagavad Sapta for 7 days, have they been cursed to die in 7 days? Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We serve Srimad Bhagavatam by hearing Nityam, always, not 7 days. So already people who plan to have a professional reciter come speak Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days are already cheaters. The whole program is a cheating arrangement just to collect money. People who hear for 7 days, they die after that. Maharaj Pariksit died. Do they all die? So then they're cheating the whole process. We are to hear Bhagavatam every single day. So, actual Krishna consciousness, your Papa says, it is so perfect that the more it is distributed, the more it increases. And speaking about giving and getting more, it is also true in devotee life. Mother Ladini was saying it. He told my god sister, give. The more you give, the more you get. The more you give. If you give some, you get even more than what you gave. Why? Because Krishna knows that the person who is giving, his or her heart is open. And serving in love comes with an open heart. Therefore, if a person that is serving like that gives so much from their heart, then Krishna arranges for more to come to that person's life space so that they can keep on doing that same activity of giving from their heart. So Krishna makes it more available. So when the love of Godhead was being distributed, then the storehouse supplied even more. So then Srila Papa says, bankruptcy is a term applied in the material world. Nothing is ever bankrupt in the spiritual world. Nothing about it. No. The storehouse of love can never be depleted. Krishna actually, even in the material world, as difficult as it is to live here, he still provides for millions and trillions of living entities. supplying all the necessities, even the material necessities he supplies. Hmm? So that's all we need to do. If we want to become Krishna conscious, there would not be any scarcity of love of Godhead. Hmm? And there won't be any insufficiency in providing for our maintenance. Now, that is the fact. Hmm? If we open up, when we open up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in service by bhakti, it also means that the Lord has taken control of our lives. And when the Lord takes control of our lives, what it means is that there will be changes made based on how the Lord wants us to serve to our maximum capability. And the difficulty comes when sometimes these opportunities are being planned and we say, based on our egos, that no, life should be this way, life should be that way. This is the way it is. I'm satisfied with where I'm at now, therefore it should just remain that way. The Lord wants us to grow. And sometimes in growing spiritually, there will have to be a physical change. And the Lord will start that change. But if we fight it, then we put ourselves in difficulty. That's what the problem is. Therefore, our faith, which is the first thing in becoming Krishna conscious and even developing Krishna prema, our faith in Krishna should be very, very high. Therefore, our faith in the representative of Krishna, the Guru, also has to be very high. And the way we express that is that when the Guru asks us to do something, Krishna is watching. Guru says, do this. Guru's business is all 100% Krishna consciousness. Activities are all based on Krishna consciousness. If you postpone what the Guru tells you to do, then you're telling Krishna consciousness is not that important for me. My material, whatever it is that I'm doing, that's more important. And that way, then if what's being discussed here, that the way the abundance is to come, if it doesn't come, then don't blame Krishna. Guru Maharaj says, people blame it on Krishna. No, we have stopped it by our consciousness thinking that we're in control. Demons think they want to be in control. But devotees are supposed to just submit themselves to the will of God. As Srila Prabhupada said, he came under circumstances many people would have thought twice were coming. He's coming to America, that is. The lady that actually gave him a ride on the cargo ship, even she advised him. At that time, you're old, and the place is cold, and you want to go there? Of course, she knows. It's her business to run these cargo ships, and so she knew. The captains would tell her, it's a very cold place. But what did Srila Prabhupada want to do? Because he just wanted to go to America? Like some people just want to go to America for the money? No. He was obeying his spiritual master. The spiritual master says, print books. He did that, kept doing that, and kept preaching. Preached the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the English language in the West. So he had to go to the West. And that's why he tried for America. But he started this single-handedly. The Krishna conscious movement was started single-handedly. And now look at the hundreds of temples that are available. Teaching all over the world. All over the world. But Srila Prabhupada warns, there are people who are jealous. They may be jealous, but they can't have any control over society on condition that we stick to our principles and follow in the footsteps of the Pañca-tattva. Then this movement will go on unchecked. If we do that, because that is a condition. If we chant the holy name of the Lord from our hearts, if we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books to get more people to become Krishna conscious, if we chant the holy name of the Lord, no matter what the conditions are, out so that people can hear the holy name and we purify the atmosphere, this movement will go on. Krishna has everything. Tell you a story, true story. In California, I don't know which, I think it's San Francisco. See, the Prabhupada disciples said this. They were so hard up financially. They did not know. Some of the managers and leaders didn't know how they were going to keep their bills paid, the building that they had rented. And early in the morning, as when the devotees get up early in the morning, there were some grihastas who lived close to the temple, and they were walking to the temple, as far as I can remember the way they described it. And all of a sudden, there were $100 bills that kept floating down, 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 from over their heads down to the floor. And they started collecting it. Now, with devotees, they knew immediately this was a miracle. It had to be. But the temple was really short of cash. And Krishna allowed this to happen. I wish I knew some of those. I think it's on the Prabhupada memory, Prabhupada, but I don't know which one of the devotees talked about it. But I definitely have heard it. All I remember is the Mataji that talked about it.
Shamsundar Prabhu, the one that wrote
Okay.
Chasing with Rhinos, he was one of
Okay.
them.
All right. Thank you for confirming it. Krishna just physically gave them Lakshmi. So this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. If we stick to the footsteps of, following the footsteps of Pañca-tattva, this movement will never be checked by any situation. Not the weapons of this day, the most formidable of weapons, nothing can check this movement. There are arrangements already being made. People don't have to worry. Don't have to worry. Krishna will take care of everything. So this movement is transcendental to all material considerations. Therefore, it is on us to be very, very much determined to stick to the principles of Krishna consciousness, because that's where success is. And speaking about these principles, first we have to understand Krishna's position. This one God, Krishna, provides for everyone. Nitya nityanam chaitanas chaitananam eko bahunam yogidarati kamam. Nitya nityanam, the eternal one among the many eternal entities, living entities, individual soul. Chaitanya Chaitananam, he is the supreme, he's the all-knowing consciousness, all-knowing Krishna among all conscious beings. Eko bahunam yogidarati kaman. The one Krishna, non-dual Krishna, provides the desires and necessities for everyone. One providing for the many. And part of this is from Katha Upanishad, Tam Atmastam Ye Nupashanti Dhiras, Tesham Santi Shashvati Nitaresham. Meaning that Dhira, the wise who realize or see him residing in their hearts, those people, to them belongs eternal, everlasting peace, and to no one else. But as we know very well, this part, the first two lines, talking about the one Supreme Personality of Godhead providing for everyone. And if he provides for the many, including animals who are not even Krishna conscious, why would we think that we're being any kind of scarcity? When we pull ourselves away from Krishna, then the scarcity comes. Krishna provides everything in an unlimited way. It's people's sinful ways that create shortage. Sometimes in wars, one side, the opposing side, may deliberately create food shortage just to starve the other people by stopping any kind of food form that is supposed to be delivered to them from getting to them. That's not shortage that is natural. This is a shortage that's artificial. It's deliberate. So sometimes also to bring people back to their senses, demigods are permitted to create some level of difficulty for us to wake us up. And that is happening in Kali Yuga. The weather is not so helpful to us. It's the demigod's sign to tell us that we need to get ourselves back in the proper, as they say, selves back to center. Being more Krishna conscious. So Krishna has already said in Bhagavad Gita that when we're freed from attachment, material attachment, fear and anger, and when we are fully absorbed in Krishna and take refuge in Krishna, this is the way in which many persons who have done that in the past, that's the way they become purified, through knowledge of Krishna. And through that, they attain transcendental love for Krishna. So we have to be freed from material attachment. We have to stop being fearful. Fear means that something is bigger than Krishna that can give us trouble, and Krishna cannot protect us. That's what gives us fear. You know, that's not true. So you got to get away from fear, and we get proper guidance once we're fearless. The guidance comes. Do this, don't do this. This place at this time, not a good idea. Don't do it. In other words, our intelligence increases. And the fear just gets bottled up, in the manner of speaking. No anger. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we're humble, anger hardly ever happens in our lives for material reasons. No. We should be fully absorbed in Krishna, thinking of Krishna. And while we're thinking of Krishna, we also should have this other thing going on in our mind, and that is material world, material life is not going to do much for me. This is a temporary situation that I'm in. It's not going to do much for me at all. I'm even using the word much advisedly, but actually material world is not going to do anything for me. I'm just attached a little bit to some necessities here and there because of the physical body that I have. Otherwise, I would have nothing to do with the material energy. It doesn't end well for anyone. Nobody. It doesn't end well for the poor person materially. It doesn't end well for the rich person materially. It does not. Because old age comes and death comes. And everything the person has worked for gets taken away. It doesn't end well. So the only thing that we have is the holy name. That the Pañca-tattva is just giving it so freely to everybody in order to develop Krishna prema. So that is the program that's there for all of us. Those who are too materially attached, it becomes very difficult to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. But it is there. We just have to gradually, steadily, with a very determined mind, get away from materialism. Get away from materialism. If we stop something, we have to replace it with another. Param disvanivartate. So we should chant more. Chanting doesn't have to be only when we have our beads with us, or only when we are with devotees in the temple, in the program, then we chant. No, you chant when you're driving. Now, I'm not talking about holding beads. Just chant whenever, wherever, because that puts us in the mind of thinking of Krishna all of the time. And it's a huge advantage to doing that. Once we flood our minds with Krishna by chanting the holy name, not only will we develop love for Krishna, but the person we love, this is regular for all of us. You love somebody, you think about them. And if we develop love for Krishna by calling his name so much, constantly, then we remember Krishna. Therefore, when the time comes that we are lying on our deathbed, we will naturally remember Krishna. And Krishna says, anyone who does that, remembering me, he comes to me. So we have to get rid of 3 stages of material consciousness: attachment to material life, fear, and then by Krishna's mercy, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are already staying away from the concept of voidism, frustrations in life. So to get rid of these three stages, one has to take complete shelter of the Lord, guided by the bona fide spiritual master. We have to follow the disciplines and the regulations, regulated principles of devotional service, and then we will actually develop love of Godhead. The chanting of the holy name takes us straight to love of Godhead. But the problem is our chanting is not so wonderful. Our chanting sometimes is marred by disturbance from the mind traveling and doing different things, especially doing japa. And that's why it takes us a while to really have our hearts going, and even getting to the bhava platform. It takes a while, but it is definitely possible. In the beginning, one must have a preliminary desire for self-realization. All of us qualify for that. Otherwise, we won't be listening. And then that brings us, we're talking about faith. Our faith will bring us to the stage of associating with persons who are spiritually elevated. Krishna makes sure that happens. Sadhu Sangha. And Sadhu Sangha is very, very important. We cannot be fully Krishna conscious by ourselves. We do not have the potency to do like that. We need devotees. We are social beings. Therefore, we need devotees. Especially our best friend should be a devotee. The next stage, one gets initiated by an elevated spiritual master. Fortunately, in ISKCON, it's already set up. The conditions to be a bona fide spiritual master are already set up. So all you do is, when you get attracted to a particular one that initiates, you take initiation from him, as some of you, if not all of you, have taken initiation from His Holiness Chandamali Swami. Now, then under his instruction, basically, we're starting the process of devotional service. Therefore, we call neophytes. Be very, very, very careful, because so many of the negativity that we have acquired in material life will have to go. I remember there was one incident in Girinagari. Bhakti Maharaj had just left the body, and devotees were a little confused, and Maya obviously set in. So Krishna gave us, that time I was in Girinagari, 2005, gave us help. 3 different sannyasis came. Vaishana Swami came, Hridayananda Maharaj came, and Radhanath Maharaj came. They all had messages for us. And I remember one of Radhanath Swami's advice. Devotees that are thinking that they know better, and they want their ways to be the ones that should want to be dictated and everybody should follow. The ego. Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj, calls those people neophytes, because it doesn't matter how long. My way or the highway, you're automatically a neophyte. And then he says, then Radha Maharaj says, neos fight. Neos fight. New people, new to Krishna consciousness, fight. Now, new does not mean that it just came. No. Lord Chaitanya was also born in 1486. He just came, right? He was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is he a neophyte? Of course not. He's the Supreme Lord. So, neo meaning that new people in consciousness of Krishna. Those who have not developed it, they tend to fight, because then Maya got them by the tail, in the manner of speaking. So we have to be careful. Execute devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master. That is the first way to do it. The whole idea is that after a while, the habit would be developed, the habit of serving. But we should never serve with some sort of grudge. That doesn't help us. We serve grudgingly, we are asking to fall down. Some services may be difficult. Some services you will need help from someone else in order to understand even what to do. But there should never be a grudge, especially when that situation comes where you're not quite sure what to do. Then Maya says, why did the spiritual master give you that anyway? No, get that out of your mind quickly. All you need is help. Pray for help, and Krishna will guide you to a person that will help you. Never say that because of some difficulty that is there, this wasn't service that should have been given to me. Everything that's given in devotional service, there is the way in which that can be done. Sometimes it's done by our own expertise. Sometimes we have to learn quickly and do it. And sometimes we have to get guidance and help from some other person. But we do not refuse. Refusing Krishna, refusing devotional service is refusing Krishna. And that won't help us. So through that, we become steady, free from material attachment, and then steadiness comes, and then we acquire a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead. And speaking about acquiring a taste, that is happening. Those who come regularly, they have a taste for hearing. And this would keep us closer and closer, pull us closer and closer to Krishna, to Krishna consciousness. And the matured state is the preliminary stage of transcendental love. When we're mature, then bhava starts. And it builds up to prema, the highest perfection in life. So the Pañca-tattva, they are already at the prema level. And they were given so much mercy by distributing the holy name of the Lord, plunging the storehouse of love of Godhead, and supplying it freely to anyone who wants it. As we well know, in this society, you don't have to have a particular degree to be a member. So the love is there for everybody. And as everyone surrenders to the Lord, then the Lord will actually increase our love for him. In that way, we become happier and happier internally. External things won't matter to us. They can't give us happiness. Fake happiness is what you're going to get from external material things. Real happiness and love comes from within, where the soul is. So we have a wonderful situation. We just have to take advantage of it. The love of Godhead is there. It's there for everyone. So we should go after it. And by the Lord being so merciful, we will, in fact, steadily grab the love and distribute it also to everyone. And the happiness will come. Definitely come. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you for coming, for hearing. It's for all our good, including me. Because I may be speaking, but it's through the help and the mercy of my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. So this is the time to unmute yourself if the devotees want to make comments and or ask questions they can. Dear Krishna Prabhu, I see your hand up. Thank you for coming to accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such a beautiful, very hope-giving, very comforting, and reminding of so many important points that we need to take care as we walk on this path given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Loved your class today. I mean, always we love, but today was something special. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. That is the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. We talk about the Pañca-tattva and they're plunging that storehouse of love and giving it out. It wells that love inside of our hearts. That's I'm sure that's what you're expressing. I don't have credit, I'm just saying it. But the love is in your hearts by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Any other comments or questions? Sri Devi Mataji, please go ahead. Accept my humble obeisances, Lord Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine, Pariksit Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Guru Maharajas. You know, as you were speaking about fearlessness, and you said we have to get past this fearfulness that we are now presently in and get to the point of fearlessness, where we're no longer concerned with what is happening to my bank balance, what's happening to my body, what's happening to my relationships. Oh, I have not done this or not done that or done this or done that and so on. Hankering, lamenting. And that can come only when we go above the bodily platform, which is not so easy because we are very attached to the body and products coming from the body. So, what are your suggestions, Prabhu, for us to reach that point of fearlessness without wasting too much time?
How do we reach that point of fearlessness without waiting? I'm like the way you ended it, without wasting too much time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, it starts with, there's two things that work: faith and determination. Faith and determination. When we have implicit faith, great faith that there is nothing that Krishna can't do, therefore there's nothing that Krishna can't do for me if he wants to do for me. That is the first statement that we have to convince ourselves about. Krishna's power and Krishna's love and mercy. When that is cemented in our minds, that's what generates the fearlessness. Because if Krishna, there is one way in which it's been put, a statement, he says, if God be for me, who can be against me and win? Think about it. If God is for me, is on my side, who can be against me and be successful? So when we put our hearts fully to the Lord, this is what happens. We become fearless because we have to know who Krishna is. We have to remember who Krishna is. We are putting our faith in the Lord, but who is the Lord? Everything in the material world is created by him. So what is there in this material world? This is speaking to the mind, and we just have to have a manashiksha situation. We have to speak to our minds. What is there in this world that Krishna has created that if he wants me to protect, if he wants to protect me from, that thing can harm me? How can that happen? There is nothing. There is nothing. Therefore, I have to, my part is just simply putting my faith and my trust in him. And we put faith and trust in Krishna by following what he is said to do. And it said so many things are in Bhagavad Gita, one text after another, one verse after another, Krishna says what to do. And if we do that, then Krishna will protect. He says the extent to which we surrender to him, he will reward accordingly. He's already said that. In chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, he's already saying that. So, this is what it is. It's a question of being determined and having implicit faith in the Lord that my life should be about serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, there's one more thing, and that sometimes it takes a while for the devotees to get to. There is so much being produced in this material world, especially in countries that are advanced like the United States. I'm talking materially. Sometimes we are led to believe that material things are going to give us the happiness we want or make life more convenient for us, and convenience means happiness. And therefore, we say, oh, yeah, we do the Krishna thing, but I got to get my material things and take care of myself. When we think like that, we sabotage our own lives. We have to think in terms of, yes, the material things are here, but Krishna created everything. Therefore, if we go to the source of the creation, then everything should follow, rather than go to the end of it. If we want to get help, we have to go to the root and make sure that we connect with the root of the tree by watering the tree. then the tree supplies everything else that we need. But if we're going to forget the root of the tree and say every time I'm going to go get the fruit and get the fruit and get the fruit, at some point there will be no fruit because we are disconnected from the root of the tree, taking care of that. Our part to do, to be Krishna conscious, to maintain connection with Krishna. So that is very, very important, that we understand that the Lord is for us by his mercy. But our part, because everybody is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we also have to serve. And we serve, then he takes care. That's why we keep mentioning the extent to which we surrender, he rewards accordingly. So if you open your heart more, then, as my Guru Maharaj, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, Krishna magic begins to come in our lives in all kinds of situations. Even material ones. You see the hand of God in it. Even to the point that we make mistakes ourselves, because it's part of the human defects, make mistakes, and he still covers for us. And he still covers for us. It just depends on the extent to which we want to surrender to him. The more we surrender, the more fearless we become. And the fearless, the less fearful we are, the happier we are. Because it just gives us some internal confidence that I'm with the Lord. Why do I have to worry? Just keep serving devotees. Don't offend anybody. That's the one that it can give us problems. If we offend, we're in trouble. We don't want to offend. Apologize, serve that person, and be determined not to offend. Then our lives will be actually quite, but in a manner of speaking, smooth enough. It's never totally smooth, but at least it's smooth enough. The other parts that may be challenging are just to remind us that we're not home, so that we can be even more determined to go home. Because in home, back to God, and everything is perfect. Hare Krishna. Thank you for the question. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Pariksit Prabhu. My obeisances to you too.
Go Shri Prabhupada. Any other questions or comments? Daria, yeah. Mataji, please go ahead. Say my humble obeisances, all glories to Shri Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Shri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for a very nice lecture. I was wondering, how can we get like from this scarcity mentality? We have like a scarcity mentality that we might not have. There is no space for me, for example, to the unlimited. Because sometimes even if we try to put Krishna in the center, we still feel by comparing ourselves to others, maybe that Krishna is not loving me the same, like as much as the other person, or so I was wondering if you can maybe, if you have some suggestions.
Krishna is not loving me as much as he is loving the other person. Get it out of your mind as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. That is the one point that is, and it comes across that it seems like it's true, but it's actually deceptive. Krishna knows what we need. Now, Guru Maharaj put it very simply, and it's a prayer. It's a prayer. He put it in the prayer form. So I'll just tell you how he said it. This is Bhakti Swami. So in your prayer, put these two sentences in there. Wherever you want to put it, it's up to you. I know what I want, but you know what I need. I know what I want, but you know what I need. And as soon as you convince yourself that the Lord knows what I need, we convince ourselves the Lord knows what I need, then you can look at the other person and say, the other person that has this and has this and has this, the Lord knows what he needs or she needs too. That's why that's been supplied. You're not living his life or her life. You're living yours. So ask the Lord to give you what you need. And the second point is, we're in the material world. And there's the lure that's there to be attached to material things. But the attachment to material things are what keep us from going back to Godhead. So do we still want to get attached to material things? Material things come with problems. Everything that you get brings its own set of problems, materially. So actually, the less attached we are to material things, the better. Now, if you're looking at somebody, because I'm talking to material, now we look at the spiritual. Oh, somebody seems to chant better than me. Good. Copy them. Do what they're doing. If you think that they're doing better, then imitate them. Nobody's stopping you. There's no plagiarism in chanting. You usually do what you want to do. And I've done it. There are some people that even, it's like they're chanting and then they get into it so much. And it's almost like they're almost crying. And I'm looking at them in the temple and I said, I'm going to try to do that too. Put a little sobbing in there. And I was surprised how my chanting became very steady. Copy them. Copy them. Don't say, oh, they're better than me. No, copy them. We're talking about spiritual things now. And as for material things, Krishna knows what you need. Leave him to give you what you need. Sometimes if he gives you too much, you're going to get stuck in this material world because I'm going to be a millionaire. We'll be a millionaire a million times and never go home. With all these problems, it's going to be on you. No, so that's not so important. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so if not, then thank you very much for your coming on. This is by Krishna's mercy. Everybody from around the world can come at one time. This is wonderful. So only Krishna. Even that things seem to be going bad, right? I'm talking about COVID. Now look at us. From all over the world, we can meet at the same time and hear Krishna consciousness, Krishna Katha. So have a wonderful weekend is coming up. For those in this area, Harrisburg Rath Yatra is on June 20th, for those in this area. Or if you happen to be in the United States at the time also, we have in Rath Yatra at that time, June 20th. It's a Saturday in Harrisburg. You go to the temple website, iskanharrisburg.org. The information is there. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shilpad ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Jai. Prabhupada.
Thank you, Pariksit Prabhu. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very
Prabhu.
much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.